Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah and welcome back to the channel. Last week I made a video about Myron and his attack against American Muslims where he states that Muslims shove their religion down non-Muslims' throats inside of America. He also said that Muslims should be okay with non-Muslims making fun of our Prophet, peace be upon him, and our religion. And he also said that Muslims, if they don't like that, they can leave and go back to their country. There have been some developments since then, and I think it's worthwhile to go through them and kind of update what happened so there's no confusion and, more importantly, discuss the actual topics at hand. Since then, Sneako debated with Myron on his channel about this exact topic, and the Muslim Lantern made a few posts, a few tweets speaking about it, which for some reason led Myron to kind of throw some derogatory and racist remarks at him. So I'm going to break down the situation from start to finish and, of course, give my thoughts along the way. But before we start, YouTube has this new interesting feature called hype. And essentially what it's supposed to do is hype up the video in the algorithm. So by you hyping this video, it should push it out to more people. I don't know exactly how it works, so I kind of want to test it with this video. But if you're seeing this right now, go down. If you have the feature, hype the video. I don't know how it works, but figure it out. Go hype the video, and I want to see if that actually helps it gain traction. But regardless, let's get started with today's video. So this video in particular went viral a few weeks ago and has kind of been the video that launched the entire discussion. So let's quickly go through some parts.
There's a reason why they're doing that. I'm not stupid. All right? They're shutting down Times Square, praying with loudspeakers and shit to do what? To assert dominance. Okay? That's what they're really doing. I'm not stupid. Let's just call a spade, all right? I'm probably the only Muslim that will admit this shit. When they're shutting down Times Square, when they're blocking off the streets, when they're doing the adhan 5 times a day, it's to assert dominance. And if you don't want to admit that, then I will, because you guys are liars.
I don't know where on earth Myron's getting this information from. Like, I don't know if he got a memo that I didn't, but no, Muslims don't pray in public and call the adhan out loud to assert dominance. And what dominance does it assert exactly? We recite the adhan out loud. We pray in public. What dominance is that asserting? These are rituals that Muslims practice. Yeah, that's not how dominance is asserted. I'm not going to play much of the clip because I went through a lot of it last week and it's kind of a bit repetitive now. But it was this clip that prompted Muslim Lantern, myself, and a few other Muslims to respond online. So in the video, Myron compares Muslims praying in Times Square to like Christians praying or doing something in Mecca. So obviously Muslim Lantern responds by saying comparing Times Square to Mecca is like comparing the Queen's Palace to a horse stable. You don't see any mosques / Muslims with speakers or praying inside the Vatican City, do you? Lowest IQ take ever heard. And obviously that is a fitting response. I mean, it makes sense. You can't compare a secular country like America with a holy city like Mecca or the Vatican City. It's just a bad analogy. And Muslim Lantern wasn't the only person to say this. Many others did, and I obviously had an entire video discussing it. But a day after I posted my video, Myron put up a tweet kind of discussing the entire situation and clarifying his position. Now, whether he saw my video in particular or not, I don't know. But regardless, we should go through the tweet, see what he says, and then address anything that needs to be addressed. Myron says, "Let's have a real talk, no filter. Angry Muslim YouTubers are losing their minds over my stance. I'm Muslim and proudly so, even if I'm not perfect." I'm glad that Myron will at least say that he's proudly Muslim, but I'm pretty sure a proud Muslim would pray in public in a congregation, recite Quran out loud, have the adhan recited out loud, instead of being like, oh, Muslims shouldn't do that, because you just seem like you're not proud of it. So if you are a proud Muslim, you should be perfectly fine with Muslims praying in public in a country where they're allowed to do so. But these sanctimonious clowns preaching at me about Islam, save it. Let's dismantle the 3 arguments I keep hearing. 1, separation of church and state. 2, America has freedom of religion. And 3, America isn't a Christian country. He addresses the first 2 in one response saying, Jefferson pushed separation to keep religion out of government, not to greenlight disruptive public worship. Jefferson didn't just push separation of church and state. He allowed for Muslims, Christians, Jews, Hindus, pagans to practice the religion freely and openly under the same laws, the same civil laws, with equality. That's what he said. So one aspect is to keep religion out of the state and out of the laws, and the other aspect is to allow people to practice freely, which means Muslims have the right to pray in public. If a Christian or a Jew can pray in public, a Muslim can pray in public. And if it's not against the law, meaning it's not illegal, then Muslims can do it because they're under the same civil law as everybody else. And I don't understand this justification, not to block streets or disturb peace. Are you talking about Times Square again? Because Times Square is not just an intersection. It's a square. It's a complex. It's like a giant sidewalk that people can walk up and down and around. They were praying in the complex. Cars can't even drive there. And then this whole disturb the peace thing. Whose peace are we disturbing? Times Square, one of the most lively places that there is. If someone wants peace, they're not going to Times Square. If someone wants peace, they're in the comfort of their home. And this really just sounds like you're disturbing at least one white American. Oh no, everyone put their hands up and go home. This response just is not adequate. And it's really just pandering to racist white Americans who don't like Islam, which is fine. That's fine. But don't pretend you're like an insider Muslim seeing the truth. This is just BS. And then he addresses the whole America as Christian thing, saying founded by Christian, 70% plus Christian population, Christmas and Easter as cultural cornerstones, Christian value shaping laws, and crosses dotting public spaces. That's culture. That's not state governance and laws. Even if you have cultural aesthetics that are by European Christians, or you have a cross, or you have Christian holidays, and you have majority Christians, that's all people, that's all belief, that's all culture. That's not laws. That's not governance. That's not, hey, Muslims are not allowed to do X, Y, and Z. For it to be a Christian country implying Muslims can't practice, that means its governance is Christian and forbade any other practice of any other religion. That's not the case. So you rely on saying, well, the majority of the population is Christian and you have crosses and whatever. It's a secular country whose laws indicate that anyone can practice a religion in public. And if they are causing a disturbance, what they're doing is illegal, and then the authorities get involved and stop them from doing that. And then he gives this weird excerpt that I think really says a lot. He says, "Why do I care? As a former agent that investigated T-word, I'm very aware of this topic. Post 9/11, the war on terror and decades of anti-Islam rhetoric from a Jewish-influenced media and government have Americans seeing us as unassimilated third worlders. Public displays like these, gasoline on that fire. I'm not saying hide your faith, be smart. Respect the space you're in. Practice Islam without making it everyone's problem. That's not selling out, it's common sense, respect, and strategic. The smart thing to do is to A, show people we exist and we exist in their country. B, teach them about our religion and why this war on terror was a sham and how Islam is not a religion of terror. And C, create our own media to portray Islam in a positive light." The answer is not to just sit back, let these media outlets continue to do the same thing without any pushback, and just practice in silence in the corner of our own house. Why do you have a podcast, Myron? Why? Do you have a show so you can speak your truth, give light to these situations you think people should be aware of, and debunk any lies, rumors, myths, or anything that's not helpful to the general public? I'm assuming that's why you post on your channel. Well, it's the same thing for Muslims, and that requires us to practice in public. Just because people who are racist or Islamophobic or whatever don't like that doesn't mean we have to stop, doesn't mean what we're doing is wrong. People don't like the fact that Muslims exist at all. So as long as what we are doing is legal and it's allowed, it is legal, then there's nothing wrong with it. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but I am actively making a conscious effort to remain calm, relaxed, to discuss with people in appropriate ways, to not throw insults and degrade people, because I don't think that's beneficial. I don't think it helps. I think the best thing for people to do, especially Muslim, is just put ego aside and engage with people who are good faith and just ignore people who are bad faith. I hope that Myron is a good faith person. I would like to engage with him on the topic. I would like to discuss with him in private, in public, and whatever, because I do think he's mistaken here. But one thing I'm not going to do is just start throwing insults, because I'm trying to avoid that. I've done that in the past. I don't think it's good. Islam encourages us to speak kindly and to not hurl insults at people, so I'm trying to avoid all that. But regardless, a day after Myron made that tweet, he went live with Sneako and they had a debate on the topic.
Well, you want to give your position then? Because you saw what I had to say then. So
about Adhan playing?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you hear church bells play, I mean, like Dearborn is majority Muslim, right? It's a small town.
It's about, yeah, it's like 50, 50, 60, somewhere around there.
Points of contention. There's Dearborn and there's also Times Square.
I will say it's like 50, 60% Muslim, but sorry, 50, 60% like Middle Eastern, but we don't know if they're Muslim.
Yeah.
So like they're from the Middle East and North Africa. So you can assume a majority of them probably are Muslim, but we don't know if all of them
Yeah,
are.
probably 60, 70%.
Yeah,
but there's no,
like we could say 90% of that.
But even in Morocco or Saudi Arabia, there's still, you hear the Adhan, and there's still many Christians that live there. And many.
Yeah, but like they're not actively asserting their religion publicly in these Muslim countries.
What do you mean?
So, okay, my thing is this. The United States is a Christian country. It was founded by Protestant Christians.
No, it's a secular country.
Well, here's the thing. So
we have freedom of religion. It's always
we
been the way.
do. But when they had the freedom of religion and the separation of church and state, that was instituted not just for freedom of religion purposes, but also because there are the fights between Catholics, Baptists, Protestants, etc. So what they wanted was they wanted to separate the church from the state so that neither can corrupt the other. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like the separation of church and state was actually instituted to protect both institutions from corrupting each other.
The founding fathers had an opportunity to use the Bible and the Constitution, and they decided not to because it's a secular country. Because they
do reference God. They do reference God in there.
But they say God. They don't say Jesus, which is more universal. And they were very specific about that. Yeah. Thomas Jefferson himself, he also said that he wants America to be for the Jews, for the Mohammedan. This is a quote: the Mohammedans, and for the.
You call them Mohammedans?
That's what he said.
That's funny.
The Mohammedans.
That's funny.
I think it was common back then. So he specifically referenced that.
But the thing is, let's assume that church bells are legal everywhere. Let's assume they're legal everywhere and they play them loud and everything. This is still a Christian country. I think they can do that.
What does that mean? It's a Christian country.
This was founded by Christians. But this is a Christian nation.
But we have freedom of religion. But it's not in the Bible's not referenced. Jesus
we have freedom of religion. But at the end of the day, Muslims. We are guests here. This is not a Muslim nation. This was not founded by Muslims. Like at the end of the day, the host religion gets to assert a level of dominance, unfortunately, because they are the majority and they're the ones that.
But the founding fathers didn't intend for that. They didn't even say that. They didn't say they want Christian dominance. If they wanted Christian dominance, they would have included the Bible and the Constitution. They would have said Jesus.
Well, they did that, like I said before, to avoid issues between Baptists and Protestants and Catholics, because this was an issue back in Europe with the church and the state being involved and intertwined. But when they forged it, they didn't expect, oh yeah, we're gonna have freedom of religion, but let another religion come in and dominate. Like, let me explain. So like, if you go to any of these Muslim countries, right, you can practice in peace, right? You can practice Christianity or your religions in peace, except for, I don't think paganism is allowed in any of the Muslim countries. That's a problem. But if you're a Jew or if you're a Christian or whatever, you can practice. But like, you can't like assert that religion openly, like praying on the streets or doing anything like that in a Muslim country.
You could pray in the streets in a Muslim country.
In huge groups?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, bro. No.
That's not happening. There's no example of that happening. Of Christians not praying on the street.
But why do they not do it?
Because Christians don't pray on the street.
No, but if they did, why don't they do it then?
I don't know. It's just not.
Why don't they record themselves doing it openly in these Sharia law countries?
That's not Christian practice.
Because they respect the country. They respect the host nation. But I'm saying that as Muslims, we should do the same. Like this is not our country. We did not found this country.
But look, so all different religions that people pray at.
We got mosques. We could pray at home. Like my issue isn't with praying. My issue is with openly praying and disrupting others. Okay. If you're openly praying and you're not disrupting anybody, I don't care. Like some dude in Dallas.
I was in Times Square. We weren't disrupting anybody. I was there on the front line. I made a whole vlog. We could watch it.
Yeah, bro.
There was no nobody was disrupted.
So shout out to Sneako. And I think this right here proves which side is correct. Sneako was there. He was praying. No one was being disrupted. And Myron's kind of just taken aback like, dude, come on. Like he's playing the whole like, are you serious right now thing. And I think he's only doing that because he doesn't really have a good response. I'm going to play this clip and then we're going to move on, inshallah.
Here's the thing.
Not one person there complaining.
I guarantee you that, of course, they're not going to complain because they don't want to be labeled bigots, but in New York City where they're cucked. The reality is people probably wanted to go there. I guarantee you there are hundreds, if not thousands of people that went there and were like, yo, I want to take pictures of Times Square. And they're like, oh, these guys are praying. I can't go in now.
It was the section right in front of the stairs. It wasn't blocking the sidewalk. There's an open walking area and it was that section. It was really cold that day.
Of course.
And we said that, and the people were still, like Times Square wasn't shut down.
No, of course
it wasn't illegal. Like it wasn't like we had the cops or anything. We just all gathered there and prayed.
Here's the thing, man. Like praying in a symbolic Western location that's a tourist destination.
What about like Chinese festivals?
And disrupting.
That's a public display of their culture.
Yeah, well,
I hear what about?
I'm not a fan, dude. Honestly, I don't think we should have any of these parades.
You shouldn't have parades.
I don't think we should have cultural parades. No.
There was just a Yom Kippur celebration in New York. They walked
out of here.
It's not going to happen.
These are all very, very good points. And either Myron has to say all of the cultures leave, no one practices in public, or everyone's allowed to practice in public, including Muslims. He's opting to say no one can practice, get out. But then that's not what America's about. The founding fathers allowed freedom of religion, including for Muslims. So Myron believes one thing, while the founding fathers in the secular country of America believe in something else. That's really as simple as it gets. But regardless, Sneako did a very good job representing the kind of Islamic side of the discussion. So I'm very happy to see that. Muslim Lantern put out a tweet discussing it, to which Myron responds, and just take a look. So Muslim Lantern makes his tweet saying, Myron Gaines gets demolished in Sneako debate after ducking 101 discussion. And this is the video he posted the same day, essentially discussing the debate and some other context behind the scenes between him and Myron. And then Myron responds by saying, oh, look, a R-word goat effer from the UK has an opinion on being Muslim in America. You are so desperate for attention, it's hilarious. I don't know why Myron feels the need to get nasty here. That's unnecessary. unnecessary. It's a nasty tweet. He sounds like a white racist Islamophobe. I don't know why he's pandering to them in this kind of way. But for what it's worth, Muslim Lantern responds by saying your response is as low IQ as the P words you host on your show every week for views. They scream just as loud when they lose an argument. The only difference is that they're actually born women. So I guess it's fair. It was bar for bar, insult for insult. I hope they could just drop it there and move on now. But regardless, I don't know why Myron has so much ego when it comes to this issue. Like, I believe he's so blatantly and clearly wrong, but for some reason, he's just holding on steadfast to this. It's almost as if someone's coming at him for his religion and he doesn't want to let it go. That's really what it seems like. I think Myron just needs to, like, take a day, drop the ego, calm down, and just detach his ego and detach everyone else from the situation and just think about it objectively, be a little bit more fair and reasonable with the discussion, and give Muslims a little more credit, because for some reason he's putting Muslims on the back foot and putting like racist white Americans on the forefront. And I think until he can remove this like whitewash understanding of America and whitewash understanding of the world from his mind, he's not really going to be able to do that. If you guys are interested, Muslim Lantern made a video about an hour long breaking down the debate, giving his thoughts, and also sharing some context about him and Myron in the back and forth. So if you guys are interested, you can go to his channel and check it out. But regardless, I think this is the last video I'm going to make on the topic. I kind of reiterated my thoughts on it from last week and gave a few extra points. I don't really think there's much more to discuss here. I really hope that Myron's able to watch this video objectively and not get upset or angry or let any kind of ego or emotion block him from really listening genuinely and being a little bit more fair about it. But regardless, at the end of the day, guidance and hidayah is in the hands of Allah. Our job is to speak the truth, to spread the truth, and then whether people accept it or not is up to them. No one should send hate to anyone. Just make dua for everyone, myself included. And inshallah, I will see you guys on the next one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.